Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us this week in America on the Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network. As promised, back with us, JT O'Donnell, workplace consultant, nationally syndicated career expert, careerrealism.com founder, JT O'Donnell. JT, welcome to This Week in America. Great to have you back with us.
Thank you so much, and Happy New Year.
And same to you. This is an exciting time for you. I understand 2010 is very good. Go to the website, check it out. It's got all the resources you need there, including topics that we'll be talking about on the program today. And JT just recently did a webinar with the 6 things every job seeker must master to get hired in 2010. It's different than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe even 2 or 3 years ago. JT, we're going to go through some of those 6 today on the program that you spent some time putting together. A lot of the people went to Career Realism recently and got your expert advice with the webinar. The first one you have, and I know this is something you keep preaching all the time, embrace that every job is temporary. And that's where we start. And in your mind, boy, that's really important right now.
It is. People are always talking about focusing on finding a full-time job. And you know that mindset is, I want to find a job and forget about this. I don't want to have to think about job search. I just want to be able to go to my job. But the truth is, folks, those days are over. We don't find a job. We don't stay there for our lifetime, get the gold watch, the retirement package. And the reality is, the first day of your new job, I can tell you within a year, you're probably not going to be doing the same things at that job. But at the same time, the rate of change that we're seeing in America today, companies just can't promise that they will be able to give you full-time employment long-term. And, we're trending very similarly to what we're seeing in Europe, where in some of those countries as much as 50% of the workforce is permanent temporary workforce. And it's not just me talking about it. You're seeing this trend in all the major newspapers, all the sources these days, that companies are admitting that even when the recovery comes, they will not be hiring a lot of full-time workers. They will be hiring a flexible, just-in-time workforce. So the sooner you understand that and recognize you're going to have to market your business of one over and over and over again in your lifetime, the quicker you're going to embrace the reality that you better get your skills in a place where it's very easy to dust your brand off the shelf and get out there and market it again, because we just know every job's temporary.
So if your mindset is, I want this job for 10 or 15 years and they're not offering me a real guarantee that I'm going to have that, you better get over that mindset and realize you may have to patch together 2 or 3 jobs over that 10 or 15-year period.
You really do. And, we're seeing, if you talk about a resurgence or a realization, renaissance, all these different terms, basically, that we're starting to understand how we have to become subject matter experts and the go-to person for certain things. And, look at contractors, for example, whether it's a plumbing contractor or electrician, they constantly have to go out and market their business of one over and over again. Well, we're all that way now. And so the sooner you figure out what your strengths are, the things that are innate in you and unique about you that you can leverage very successfully without too much effort, the sooner you're going to be able to brand those and create more of an irresistible package for hiring managers. There's an expectation out there that you can really explain to them why they should choose you. And a lot of people aren't prepared for that, and they need to be.
All the things we're talking about today on This Week in America, you can find at careerrealism.com. It's an excellent resource. It will talk you through the process, give you all sorts of encouragement, give you a lot of different resources to help in your job search. And 1 out of 6 of us looking for a job at any particular time. Number 2 on the list of the things we need to master is minimize the fear. And this is interesting because we all probably take some fear into the marketplace when we're trying to find a job.
We do, and I'm sure a lot of people are saying, well, that's easier said than done. But you do need to recognize that the degree of fear that you carry with you is going to impact your job search. 93% of communication is nonverbal. Body language, eye contact, facial expressions. So even if you're trying to put on your good game face, they're going to read between the lines. And we need to calm down. We need to recognize and gain confidence so that we go in there and we look attractive to hiring managers. And the way that we do that, Rick, is we get more effective at our communication skills. I think most people are fearful is because they don't know what they're going to say. How are they going to explain that they get laid off or they got fired? And you need to come to grips with that. You need to be a stronger communicator. You need to embrace the fact that you have to work with all different types of personalities and really leverage that. So for those of you out there who have this theory that people should just like me for who I am, well, you know what? Maybe that worked in a good economy where they had to hire you no matter what. But in a bad economy, now employers are selective and they choose people that they can appreciate, that they like their level of enthusiasm, their appreciation for the culture, and you're going to need to be able to express that in a way that comes through genuinely and authentically.
I saw an article one time with HR people, and they were saying what are the main reasons people don't get the job, and the topic was why are you not hiring these particular people? And it's because so many people are hung up in the past. They've not really left the past behind them. Would you agree with that? That maybe that's part of that fear that we carry in there.
No, I completely agree with that, and that's a great comment. Not only do we stuck in the past and negative, but on top of that, we come in and we just scream, "I'm looking for a job." We don't say, "I'm looking for this job." And so hiring managers can see through that. You have got to prove to them that you've done your homework and that you can literally connect on an emotional level why you relate to them, why they impress you, and how you know that that's something to be impressed by. What about your own personal past can you prove to them, taught you, that they are the right place for you? When you can make that deeper connection, you're going to, again, be more authentic, and it's going to be more convincing.
You're listening to This Week in America on the Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network. Our website, thisweekinamerica.us. You can log on to that and link on to our guest, JT O'Donnell, with careerrealism.com. Her nationally syndicated column, JT and Dale Talk Jobs, is the largest nationally syndicated career advice column in the United States. You'll see it appear weekly. It's something that appears in the local paper where we are. We'll look forward to reading it every week, answers questions. And go to the website because you've got those questions answered and many, many more. We're talking about the things you need to master. Identify our go-to potential is number 3 on the list. Explain that.
Oh, well, unfortunately, many people brand themselves based on what they do for a living. And so they run around and say, "I'm a marketing person, I'm a salesperson." And the problem with that is that when we do that, we're conjuring up an immediate image. And if we're talking to somebody who knows what we do, they're going to form an opinion, right? And if they don't like what we do, they're going to form a negative opinion. At the same time, if we're talking to somebody who doesn't really understand what we do, we're not helping our cause at all. That doesn't make sense to them. And I can't tell you the number of times I've heard people brand themselves as one thing, but it means something different to someone else, right? A systems analyst at one company might be totally different than at another. Right. And so we have to focus on talking about our transferable skills, our go-to potential. How do we solve problems? What do we do best? How do we get it done? That's what your branding is about. It's called connecting the dots, and you need to do it for employers because the expectation is there. They don't want to have to do it for you.
And when you think about, I think in this business, in radio and television, what a job title was 5 years ago isn't the case anymore, because in most cases, your job title, it's actually job titles. You may be doing 2, 3, 4 different functions now.
That's it, and there you are missing out on all these prime opportunities. So what we tell people is that if you've ever worked in search engine optimization, there's a lot of discussion around keywords. Well, there are keywords related to you, your industry, your business. Figure out what the keywords are, define them, and start to include them in things like your resume, your online social profiles. Define yourself with the terms, not with the job titles. It's going to make a huge difference.
Number 4 on the list, create an interview bucket list. This is interesting.
Yes. We have to stop spraying and praying. You know, thousands of companies aren't your potential employers, and they know that. And the employers are going to pay attention to you when you pay attention to them. So you do that by starting an interview bucket list. And that comes from the funny movie about the bucket list. You want to put on that list all the companies that impress you. And more specifically, you need to articulate why. How have you come to learn that that's worthy of being impressed by? When you can tell those stories, you've got something interesting to say. And you've also got a reason to reach out to people that work at that organization. So oftentimes we are told to network and connect with people in a company, and we say, "Gosh, I don't know how to do that." Well, if we do our homework on the company and we answer those questions, we can reach out to them. We do have something to say, and that's going to make a stronger impression. And so it's time to stop spraying and praying and just applying to everyone. You don't send out 1,000 resumes. You're not going to get any responses back. The time and energy you spend identifying and putting companies on your list in your area, you're going to learn more about those companies, and you're going to connect and draw in the right people who can help you get hired.
Next one is interesting. Develop the new career tools. It's, again, I keep emphasizing it's different than it was a few years ago. New career tools. It's like everything in the new media. Everything seems to be different now. Explain some of the new tools that probably some of the older workers really are missing out on.
Yeah, absolutely. We hear all the time that 80% of jobs are gotten through networking. And networking for years and years and years was always about going to in-person events. And not everybody loves those. Well, the good news is this. Social media has leveled the playing field. You might not like to go to in-person events, but almost anybody can get online and effectively network via social media. And the reality is everybody's doing it. If you do not have certain profiles these days, you're almost suspect. It means you're not technology savvy. It means you don't care. And so for the people that have been saying, I don't want to get involved in all of that, you are missing out. I recently talked to a woman who told me she would not get on LinkedIn. When I asked why, she said she didn't like any of her former employers and didn't want to connect with them. And then I asked her how long she'd been looking for work, and she told me 14 months. And I was the person that had to tell her it might be another 14 months before she found work, because we do have to connect with people. And these social media tools make it very easy to do. Heck, folks, you can log on anytime and do it in your pajamas. I mean, that's how great these tools are versus what we used to have to do to network. But by the same token, you need to understand the social netiquette, and there's a lot of little things that you need to understand. It doesn't, just because it breaks down the geographical barriers or the time barriers to connect with someone, doesn't mean you can be overly blunt and expect things from people. There is still a social media netiquette in order to form relationships, and those are the things that people need to be studying right now.
And sometimes it seems less formal than it actually is, so you're maybe saying things, doing things, responding to things that you wouldn't if you thought who actually may be looking at this at some point in time.
Absolutely, and that is where people make so many of the mistakes, Rick. They don't understand how to divide the two. And the reality is that different social media tools are used for different purposes. So you do need to go get that education, and there's plenty of information and resources out there that will tell you when and how you should use Facebook, when and how you should use LinkedIn, when and how you should use Twitter. And I'll tell you, that is going to be one of the hottest tools in the future. If you are not getting used to Twitter, you need to be. It is not going away, folks, and the sooner you understand it, the better.
You're listening to career and workplace specialist consultant J.T. O'Donnell. Realism.com is our website. Ours is thisweekinamerica.us. And you can remember that. Go to our website and log on anytime, and you can link up and get all the information at JT's website, careerrealism.com. And number 6, this is interesting because on your website you actually talk about getting into looking for a job. It's like joining a health club. You really need that support. You really need to do it on a daily basis. And point number 6, the skills you need to master, work it daily.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, just in the same way we have personal hygiene, we have to brush our teeth, and we have to work out and stay fit. Same thing with our careers these days. We know we're going to have to look for a job again. So forgetting about these things and not staying on top of the latest trends and the latest knowledge is going to cost you. And thousands upon thousands of job seekers are experiencing that right now. They're realizing how far behind they are. Now, that being said, you get in the game. It's like losing weight, right? We watch the calories, we exercise more. So I tell people, I know where your priorities lay, and I know that not everybody wants to make career their number one priority. But maybe right now, for a short period of time, that's where the emphasis needs to be. And that means more education, more research, more work towards finding that job. It's going to take a lot of hours to make that happen, but once you're there, you'll be able to go into maintenance mode. That being said, is working it daily. It's totally up to you. 5 minutes a day is going to give you different results than 15 minutes a day, than a half hour a day, etc. And so you got to do it. And the easiest way to do that is to join clubs. And there's lots of free clubs out there, all sorts of groups who are doing exactly what a health club does for you. They motivate you, they inspire you, they educate you, they connect you with others, right? They help you do the things you don't want to do for yourself. And so I really, really encourage people to explore career clubs. They are very, very valuable, and they can help you stay at a task and get the job done.
When somebody is looking, and in some cases it may be the first time in years they've had to look for a job, and I know you did a survey at Career Realism, and a large number of the people thought, maybe 3 to 5 months I'll be in the marketplace trying to find something. You suggest chances are it's going to be longer than that. How long is it running if somebody is really out there doing everything correctly before they actually find a job?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, in the good economy, the rule of thumb is that for every $10,000 you wanted to earn, you were looking at a month's worth of job search. And that was in a good economy. Right now we're looking at 1.5 to 2 times that. And that's because people work harder, not smarter. So if you want to shorten your job search, especially in this economy, folks, you have got to get laser-like focused on marketing that business of one. And that's really where we go back and talk about these 6 things that you seem to master. If you master these things and stick with them, you're going to get in front of the right people more frequently, and that's going to convert into more opportunities and eventually the right job. So people have to know that, because we have so many jobs that have been lost that are never going to come back again. There's a lot of discussion around this right now. There's a good chance that entire industries are gone forever. You have to be thinking about this, and you have to be thinking how you're going to be able to market yourself and reinvent yourself over and over and over again. And so if you don't do that, yes, it's going to be a very, very long job search. And I think a lot of people aren't prepared for that. They kind of want to ignore it. They figure, I'll get there and it'll be fine. But, you're much better off hitting this thing head on, rolling up your sleeves, and getting that business to one marketed the best it can be.
And if you're in the marketplace looking, I would strongly suggest going to careerrealism.com. A lot of valuable tools there, a lot of experts that are exclusive to that website that can help you through the process. We've got about a minute left, and just it's an interesting question because you see a lot of people turn in this direction, and you answered in the column a few weeks ago. I sort of enjoy being at home. How do I find a home-based job that's not a scam, where I have to be involved in sales or spend a lot of money up front? And I've only given you about 45 seconds to explain that.
No, you know what I tell people is figure out what skills you do at home. Go figure out the companies that could benefit them. Knock on their doors directly. A lot of these companies are actually looking for your help, and they have no idea how to find you, right? So you've got to, again, connect the dots for them. Let them know what you could do at home and how much money you're going to save them in costs. As I mentioned, we are moving towards a flexible, just-in-time workforce. You could be that next hire, but unless they know about you, it's not going to happen.
Well, it's interesting because, and I think Dale mentioned in the column that in some of the businesses he had, he was actually looking for people he didn't have to bring on full-time, but that actually could work for home on a freelance basis.
Happens all the time. And we just don't know where to look for them yet. There's been no good resource to connect the two. And so it's up to you, and there's the opportunity in itself because you're not competing against hundreds of people in a job posting. Why not go be the only person that knocks on their door?
As always, great information, and as always, gone by too quickly. We will have her back. JT O'Donnell has been our guest on This Week in America. An excellent website, careerrealism.com. JT, as always, thank you for joining us on This Week in America.
Thank you so much, Rick, and good luck, everyone.